Y'all know me. Know how I earn a living.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of Next Drift. I'm JT Tralli, and I thought what we would do in this episode is kind of look over the map on Navionics and pick out some new fishing spots for 2024. I'm going to focus on Fluke in this particular episode. Fluke season's coming up here in May, and I've spent a bunch of time over the winter and early spring looking over the map to try to find some new water that most people aren't fishing. I'm using the Navionics chart viewer map on navionics.com. You just click on chart viewer. And as you can see, when you click over here on this little icon, it'll give you two different options, Navionics and sonar chart. And I click on sonar chart, and you can see the difference. The Navionics map is a little bare of the real details that we're looking for, but I'll switch back and forth between the two. I also use the Navionics app on my smartphone, and on the app on the smartphone, it allows you to use the relief shading option, which if you've seen some of our other videos before, it's really helpful. I love it. I've actually downloaded it on my Lowrance unit, so I can actually, when I have my GPS chart up, I'm looking at the relief shading. But when I'm home and I'm looking on the desktop on a great big screen, I use this map here, and I really like it. So, one of the things I wanted to touch on is a lot of times when people are going out to catch fluke or anything for that matter, everybody's looking on social media, looking for the latest reports. They follow the fleet or following the big party boats. And a lot of times, you end up with a whole bunch of people and everybody's driving over each other. I really don't like to do that. Actually, I hate it. I don't like to do that at all. I like to spend my time looking at the map and finding little pieces of water that nobody else is fishing. And I kind of keep it to myself. And, with the kind of right approach and a little bit of effort, a little bit of time, and a little bit of know-how, and to know what you're looking at on a map, you can find some areas and some water that don't have any pressure. And a lot of times, either they have big concentrations of fish on them, or you end up finding a spot that has giants. And I found some water a couple years ago that has enormous fluke on it. I pretty much kind of keep it to myself for the most part. There's a couple of my buddies that know about it, and we'll kind of bounce reports back and forth with each other. But finding new water is a lot of fun, and to me, I get it's so satisfying to fish a new spot that you looked at on a map and you never fished before, and you go there and you have a lot of success. It's really rewarding. It's kind of like making a fishing lure and then going out and catching a fish on it for the first time. It's a lot of fun. So let's take a look at this map. I'm going to stay right around the eastern part of Long Island Sound. I keep the Sea Fever over here in Navionics Bay at Marker 7 Marina, which is right over here. And so I'm going to focus on this area, but the information that I'm going to share with you, you can also use to fish the western end of the sound, out at Montauk, wherever you're fluke fishing, or even down south. It's about looking at the map and seeing some new areas, and I'm going to pick out some spots that I've been thinking about, and I'll share them with you, and why I'm going to be checking out these areas. So let's just take a peek. The first area that I really want to focus on this year, once the fluke season opens, is I want to look over near Westerly, Rhode Island. Squamicut State Beach, years past, was a hot spot for fluke, and it kind of tapered off. Why? I don't know. I think what happens is same thing with like Fisher's Island. Isabella's Beach used to be a hot spot for fluke. Everybody knew about it. It was a community hole, and I think a lot of times either the pressure gets to it or the bait just isn't moving through there. You can still go there and catch fluke. Joey and I have had a couple decent trips in the past couple of years over there, but I think a lot of it is kind of cyclical. So let's take a look at this. One of the areas that I really like, and I'm going to check out, is this area. This is right off of Watch Hill, um, and you can see there's a lot of structure. We're just to the east of Fisher's Island. This is the cut through in the channel, and you can see there's a lot of great structure that's out here off the point of Watch Hill. Um, you also have some what I like to call parking lot zones, areas where it's kind of flat. There's not a lot of structure. You can see here how these contour lines are kind of spaced apart, and this is pretty much just flat sand. I like these areas that are next to some structure because a lot of times they don't get a lot of pressure because there's nothing really visible there. And fish will use these just because they're easy ambush points because it's wide open, especially Fluke. Some of my best spots are just these flat open areas that are either near deep water or adjacent to some sort of structure. You can see right over here, just to the eastern side of Watch Hill, there's some nice structure here. It goes, out here is 70 feet into the 60s, 50s, 40s, 30s. These are great areas for early season fluke activity. If we get lucky enough that a big school of squid moves up around this point, the fluke are going to follow. Same thing over here. This is another great spot that you should be able to catch some nice fish off of in the early spring or in the fall. You can see here we've got this kind of point that comes out. I don't know if you can see that or not, but where these contour lines get tight, and then this point right here, it kind of sticks out into deeper water. And notice I said deeper. We've talked about that a lot in the past. It doesn't have to be deep water. You don't need 150 feet next to 30 feet. Is that a good spot? Yeah, I'm sure in some places it probably is. It can be productive. But usually you're looking for deeper water. And by deeper, it could be 2, 3, 4 feet of a bottom change is going to be enough to attract fish. It creates an edge. It creates some contour, and fish will use that. The deeper water serves two purposes, and fish use it because they're either following bait, because the bait's following the deeper, it's an escape route, it's a migration route. The bait is either using the deeper water access, or the predatory fish are using the deeper water access to either use it as an ambush point or a migration route. So the deeper water, any of these spots that you see here, this 50-foot high spot that's sitting over here on the end of this point, it's next to 63, 64 feet of water. That's a great spot. Fish are going to migrate up along here, and they'll move up onto this point here to either feed or find a place to find some structure to sit on. So this is kind of one of those areas that is really set up. Yes, it's shallow. I would love to see this type of contour out in, say, 70 to 80 feet. But early season and in the fall, this is definitely a spot that we're going to be hitting this year. And I'm excited about it. There's just so many contours. It's a big, big area. And I think, too, a lot of times, whatever fish will use an area like this in the spring, they just kind of usually push out. And if we look in the summertime, and if we look out here, we've got a whole bunch of different kind of nice bottom changes as far as we have there's 64 feet here, and it kind of tapers out into the 80s. You got some 90 feet of water over here. These are some good areas. You can see this little high spot right here. See this little guy? I mean, something like this. You've got 76 feet of water here, 69 feet of water here. That could be a hard spot of just a big clump of boulders or whatever it is. But these are little spots that we like to fluke fish on because most people aren't hitting that stuff. So you can see here as we move down, if you get a little further east, you've got a whole bunch of different water here. There's looks like there's a community marker on here. Sometimes I can click on that. Oh, that's a sea robin spot. But you get the point. You've got all these contours in here, and usually that when you go out to Montauk early in the spring, right, like say June, middle of June, end of June, early July, you'll see a lot of the fleet fishing in that 45 to 65 foot range. And so you can kind of take that information and apply it in other places. So that's one of the spots that I'm definitely looking at. I like the fact that I don't feel like there's a lot of pressure over here, at least it's not as much as there used to be. And there's a lot of contour, and it's just worth checking out. It's not to say that we're definitely going to lambaste them over here, but this looks like some pretty good water. Here you have another point. This one kind of sticks out. You can see this. This is a great big point that sticks out here. Somebody's marked it. Let's take a little peek and see what that is. Nice bottom. I like the sound of that. You can see here is 100 feet of water. So this looks like one of those really nice summertime spots. Late July, August, September. You've got this great big point that sticks out here, 100 plus feet of water, and then right up on top of this, you got a hump, 81 feet, 86 feet, 85 feet. This is a great looking spot. I'd love to see what this looks like on the relief shading on the app. So that's definitely one of the areas that I'm going to be fishing this year. It's not too far from home. It shouldn't be getting a lot of pressure, and I'm really looking forward to going over there to see what it's like. Some of the other spots, that I've been looking at are a little bit further to the west. I'm going to spend some time this year fluke fishing in the Sound. I think there's a lot of fish that are there. I think there's not a lot of pressure. The water is different. It's usually a little bit darker water, a little more stained water. A lot of the areas in the Sound have tremendous amount of current when the tide is going in and out. But one of the areas that I definitely want to look at this year is up towards just off of Westbrook and Clinton. You've got a whole bunch of water that's over here. I know in the past this used to be some awesome sea bass grounds. It still is. New York and Connecticut have put some new regulations in over here, but you can just see the blue section is the shallower water, the white is the deeper, and you can see these contour lines that come over. It's pretty awesome. You see this edge that's formed right here. Now look at this, 40, 48, and it tapers off to 60, and then you've got 100 feet. So that's a great edge that's along there, and fish will use that. Fluke will definitely use that. I get a lot of questions on a spot like this where this is pretty long. It's a great big piece of water. Where would you start? Well, you look for the little key features that are on it, and I'll give you a second to take a peek and look at this map and kind of figure out where I would start on here. If you picked this little point sticking out, pretty obvious, that would be a fair bet. I would definitely start over here and kind of just get a sampling. Do a couple drifts across the end of the point, do a drift over the top of the point, see which side of the point has fish on it. Another little spot would be this little secondary point that kind of sticks out. This looks great. You got some really tight contours right here. You can see that up here it's 48, 54 feet of water. I know it's a little bit probably hard to see, and then out here you've got 69, 71, 80, it drops right off. So again, we have deeper water access to these spots that fish are going to be using for these ambush points. So take some time and jump on the map. A lot of guys will go on, especially I see it on Facebook a lot. People will post up, hey, any reports of the fish biting, anybody catching them? I don't do that, and I highly recommend that you not do that. Getting some information is always helpful, especially if you have a limited amount of time, but go out there and make your own reports. And that way, like I said, it's much more satisfying. It's very rewarding when you can go out and just do your own thing and find some water that nobody else is fishing, and keep it to yourself. You don't have to share it with the world. Maybe take some pictures, and who knows, that could be a spot that produces for you for years and years to come. I have a couple spots like that. I think there's probably 3 of my buddies that know about it, and when we go there, and we don't go there all the time, we catch some really good fish, and it's pretty consistent. And so I highly recommend you do that. Jump on this map, take a peek at your local water, whether it's Long Island Sound or out at Montauk, Block Island, Nantucket Shoals, down south. I know there's some great water that's down in New Jersey. There's a whole bunch of spots that you can pick out on these maps. So take the time, make your own reports, take a peek, learn, kind of piddle around on here, zoom in, zoom out, take some notes. You can take some screenshots. You can keep those. I have folder that I keep, one of those 3-ring binders that I've actually printed off some of these maps in color and kind of made some notes so I remember the areas that I want to fish. So I hope you like this. If you like content like this, please like, comment, and subscribe. We've got a bunch more videos coming out. We're going to be doing our giveaway pretty soon, so make sure you put a comment below down on this video. And I really appreciate you tuning in. It's going to be a great 2024. I'll talk to you soon. Take care, everybody.